playing the wrong tune in the wrong key. Gig nightmares for you and me. Song changed keys and I wasn't ready. Gig nightmares for you and me. Another key change, oh God, oh no. Gig nightmares for you and me. Chuck, how are we doing today?
I'm all right, man. I banged my knee up a couple weeks ago and still dealing with that. But other than that, everything's good, man.
Well, so here we are backstage. We're at the Bergen Pack in Englewood. We're doing the 70s versus 80s show. It's a good time.
Yeah.
How long have you been playing now?
Well, I'm 66 now. I started playing when I was 8 years old. I didn't get serious about playing until I was around 12. That's when I got serious, and it started taking a whole different life when I realized I could really do this, you know.
What was that moment when you realized you could do it?
I was like 12 years old, yeah. I didn't play in church till I was grown. You know, I had friends that played in church when we were younger. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to be on stage. I wanted to play with Sly and the Family Stone, man. You know what I mean? But at that time in my life, I was not good enough to play with them, because all them cats were way ahead of their time. But I knew I wanted to be in some kind of band, playing my guitar and singing. I just, from a little kid, I knew I wanted to do that. From watching the Ed Sullivan Show and Soul Train, it was just something about it that captivated me, that I still do it to this day. You know what I mean?
That's awesome.
What about yourself?
If I had to pinpoint a single thing, I think it was probably maybe watching the VH1 Classic channel with all the different 80s music videos. And the one that always stands out to me is Bon Jovi, You Give Love a Bad Name, where the song starts and they all just jump 15 feet in the air off the drum riser. I think it's the coolest thing in the world. It's basically like a superhero.
MTV messed a lot of people up, man. And to this day, I don't know what happened to it. You know, it just went off TV, you know, and MTV enlightened me to a lot of groups that I wasn't familiar with, like Level 42, The Cars. That's the kind of stuff I was into. Bon Jovi, being that I'm from Jersey, they were from Saraville, and we would get in the car and go up to Saraville and watch them play before they had a record deal. And, you know, I met Richie Sambora, and he was a real nice guy back then. I haven't seen him since he been rich where I could talk to him, you know.
Yeah.
But we used to go up and watch them play, man. There was a little club in Saraville they used to play at all the time, you know. But, you know, you play. Once you get it in your blood, man, you play till you ain't here no more.
That's the idea.
You know what I'm saying? But
so being the show is called Gig Nightmares. I like hearing the stories about how, the gigs where just everything seems to go wrong, but being professional musicians, you find a way to get through it. Are there any stories that come to mind for you?
Right off the top of my head, y'all done had some rough stuff, man. I've been sound checked. Everything checks out right, and right before we get ready to hit, the amp don't work, the pedals ain't working, something's wrong with the guitar, and you just have to be calm enough and cool enough to make it get through it. You know what I mean? those are things that I can think of that, equipment failure.
Sure.
And then when been playing as long as I've been playing, sometimes I get a mental block where the chord changes just keep running together. So if you don't think about it and just play, it don't give them a chance to run together. Has that ever happened to you?
Sometimes I'll zone out.
Yeah.
And I'll be thinking, wait, is this the third time we're going through or the fourth time? Because then it'll be that fourth time where it goes to like the next part of the song or whatever.
Yeah.
It was kind of funny the one time with 80s Revolution, I think it was maybe a year ago, we were playing at this one hotel ballroom or whatever. And we're playing and working for the weekend. And for a few different reasons, we had one of the different girls singing the lead part instead of the usual.
Right.
So we're playing it. And it has like that part before it goes back into the verse, you want a piece of my heart. So basically what would happen, the singer who was singing it kept accidentally singing the part that basically restarts the riff. So we just kept looping through that post-chorus thing like 3 or 4 times before going into the second verse.
Yeah.
And I'm just standing there thinking, are we like trapped in some sort of like cycle or what's going on here?
Yeah, anything can happen, man, because, music is so phenomenal that, a lot of people say it only runs one way. Well, Stevie Wonder changed that years ago. You know what I mean? It don't go major, minor, augmented anymore. It goes whatever you want to play.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So that's one of the beautiful things about music. You can do it any way you want to do it. As long as everybody is on the same page, it can be done.
Sure. I mean, that's what I love about like a lot of like the classic like jazz and jazz fusion sort of stuff where it's like, okay, we know all the music theory. Now let's see how far outside of that we can go while, before it stops making sense.
Yeah.
Like all like the improv sort of stuff.
Yeah. I'm more of a rhythm picker. That's what I am.
Mm-hmm.
A strummer. I grew up listening to Al McKay and Johnny Graham, Roland Batista. Those were my idols coming up more so than your Jimi Hendrix and your Ernie Isley. I mean, I admired what they were doing, but I didn't want to play like that.
Sure.
I always, when I went to see groups, like I was a heavy Parliament Funkadelic fan, and to see them cats on stage with 3 guitar players and you looking and ain't none of them playing the same stuff. You know what I mean? That kind of stuff always intrigued me to how they could do that. And it was just the type of music that they were playing that they could do all that. You know what I mean? So those were my biggest influence. Earth, Wind & Fire, Parliament Funkadelic. I was a big, heavy Ohio Players fan. I loved their arrangements, and as I get older, you can tell when groups influence other groups.
Sure.
And I will argue anybody down that the Ohio Players influenced Earth, Wind & Fire as far as their writing ability and their arrangement. Hands down. I don't care what nobody say. That's just my opinion, that Earth, Wind & Fire took a lot from Ohio Players.
In terms of arrangements and playing, what do you think has been your most challenging gig?
Playing with the Discoteks.
Really?
Yeah.
How so?
Because they play a lot of stuff that I would normally not play. And to incorporate the stuff that we do to the point that it's me now, that was a challenge for me in the beginning. You know what I mean? Like we do, it's an ABBA song that we do. When I first heard that, And I like how I go about learning music. I listen to a record 1,000 times before I even pick my guitar up because I want to really hear what is really going on in that song.
Yeah.
And you play yourself. Sometimes you can listen to it one time and grab your guitar and think you got it, and then listen to it another day, and you don't miss a whole lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So,
and an issue I find some of the time, especially like playing in cover bands, if you're doing a song and you just play it and you play it enough times, then it'll be like months or maybe even years before you hear like the original song again. You'll find, wait a second, I'm playing this wrong, I'm missing this part.
Right.
I don't even know what I'm doing here.
Right.
I mean, it's important, like, go back and listen to music.
Well, see,
find the original
when you
source
go in
material.
the studio and you lay a track, once you lay that track goes somewhere, and they step on that track so many times that when you hear it again, it's in a whole nother key. You know what I'm saying? Because they're stepping it down to make it nice or to make it full. You know what I mean? You learn songs and then you go to happen to see that group. They ain't playing that song nowhere like when you learned it.
Yep.
See, a recording is different than a live performance. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
And a lot of people don't understand the difference. Like, all right, you take a Wind and Fire. When Philip was younger, his range was out of this world. But as time went on and he started getting older, they had to move keys for certain songs for him to do it where the audience would appreciate it. And then, you know, they working all the time. You got to move the key where it's comfortable for him, where he can do it tonight, tomorrow night, and blah, 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 and still have his voice. You know what I mean? So those are the things about music that are inspirational to me, because you can change anything. You can step it down, you can step it up, and those are beautiful things that you can do, man.
And at the end of the day, as long as the audience is okay with it, as long as they still accept it.
Yeah. You know, like this thing we do, I love this, man. It's a lot of time involved with it, but I love it. You know what I mean? I get to go play, then I move my stuff out the way, and I get to hear y'all play and hear what you're playing on a song that I know, and hear what you heard that you're playing.
Sure, different interpretations.
There you go. So, you know, I never look at, well, that's not right, or he's playing that wrong, because my mindset is, it's no such thing as that. You know what I mean? You're playing your interpretation of it. And, you know, and a lot of guys have to understand, a lot of this music that we're playing was recorded 40 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So long as you play it well enough that the audience like it, that's it. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Yeah.
I think especially with like cover bands and tribute bands, trying to find like the fine balance of, okay, do we want to play it exactly like how it's recorded, or do our own creative interpretation of it? I think being
I'm not
committed,
gonna play nothing exactly like it was recorded.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'll give you the basics, and then I'm gonna put some of me in it. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna put some of me in it. You know.
I think finding like the fine balance between that is what usually makes for a great live show. Because obviously there's going to be plenty of people who say, oh, I want to hear it just like the record. But like sometimes it's a matter of like, well, then just listen to the record.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think there's definitely a fine balance of it. My one buddy's band back home, they call it Ricky and the Ricardos. They basically, basically it's a 3-piece, and they just do like up-tempo punk covers of whatever song. So they'll do with the 80s band, we do We Built the City by Starship, but they also do it, but basically simplify it down to like 3 or 4 chords. And
Right.
conventionally, is it something every audience is going to accept? No, probably not. But I still love it because it's creative. So,
Right.
I don't know. I think it's fun doing stuff like that.
It's just the art of the music.
Yeah.
It's just the art, man. And that's the best way I can explain it, you know. We are all artists. And you're not going to paint a picture exactly like me, and I'm not going to paint a picture exactly like you. And then there's thousands of other people that are painting.
Sure.
You know, so that makes the beautiful thing of it, you know. And like right before I got this gig, man, I had got real discouraged. I wasn't gonna play no more.
Why was that?
I just had got discouraged, man. I was trying to play with different bands, and you know, the bands weren't working enough for me. And I told my wife, I done got to the point, I guess I done got too old, and I'm gonna put this down. I'm just gonna play around the house and learn songs around the house. And then Odell started calling for me to sit in, and I was sat in a couple times, and I say about like the 5th or 6th time I sat in with them, he offered me the gig. And that was last May, and I've been here ever since. Yeah, I've been here ever since. So it was like a blessing for me because I really didn't want to stop playing. And so this came up, and like I said, I've been doing it ever since. And to me, it's getting better and better because we're to the point now where we feel each other. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah. Can you tell me about your time playing with Millie Jackson?
Oh, that was a beautiful experience, man. I was a young man. I had got the gig with Millie. Oh, man. I went to countless places with her. I played all the premier union houses on the planet. Carnegie Hall, the Garden, I can't even name them all, man. All the theaters that had the stages that went around in circles. I mean, and then all the travel overseas. I've been to South Africa 3 times. I've been to Nairobi. I've been to Russia, Germany, Italy. You know, and as a young man, it was a beautiful experience because I was going to places that I learned about in school. And, you know, the audiences were not like this. You know, a small audience would be 15, 20,000.
Wow.
You know, like we played Wembley one night, man, it was over 100,000 people there. You know what I mean? And
what do you remember from a night like that?
The people that I met Mark from Level 42, very nice gentleman. They were on the show with us. I just met some very interesting people in my travels that I would have never met if I had never left New Jersey. So that was the beautiful thing about that. And just the experience with the cats in the band, because I was the youngest in the band, you know what I mean? And by the time I had got with her, some of them cats had been with her 10, 15 years. And, you know, I was green, I didn't know anything, and I did a lot of reading and a lot of studying, and to the point that I could sit down on the tour bus and have a conversation with them. Because at first they wouldn't even talk to me. I had nothing to talk about. And I didn't take that in a negative way. I just didn't have nothing to talk about. And all those cats were heavy into politics. They were into everything. And I didn't have nothing to talk about. So I had to read up to talk, and so that enhanced my thinking in my mind. You know what I mean? So it was really, I cherish it to this day. I talk to Millie periodically now. Like, I'm gonna call her next month on her birthday and wish her a happy 80th birthday. We still got the same relationship we had when I was traveling with her. You know what I mean? So
That's awesome.
yeah, it's just a beautiful thing. My experience with her was the best I had ever had in my life. You know what I mean? And as a young man, she taught me a lot musically. She taught me a lot about life. She was just a beautiful person, man. And at the time of my life, I was young and crazy. I needed that stabilization. You know what I mean? And like, she took to me, and then it became, I wasn't just working with her, I became a friend of hers. You know what I mean? So those are the things that I will carry to my grave, man, that I got a chance to live and work with that woman. And she was a beautiful woman mentally. Her kids were beautiful, you know what I mean? So that's the only way I can describe that, man. I've been away from her now. I left the group in 99.
Wow. So you were with her for a while then.
Yeah.
'Cause I remember reading, I think you're credited on the 82 live album, Live and Outrageous.
Yes. And it was just, it's hard to explain the experience. You know what I mean? Now, was it some ugly times out there? Yes.
Like, what would be an example of that?
Like, you got a per diem every week. That
Sure.
was your food money and whatever. And then the rest of your money was in your account, right? Well, it wasn't like it is today. So if you messed all your food money up, you didn't have no money until you got some more food money. Wasn't no putting no card overseas in a bank and getting money out of your account.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? So it was a couple of times being young, I overspent my money, and you know, I was out there hungry, you know what I'm saying? But you're only gonna do that once or twice, and then
you learn from your mistakes.
Yeah, you learn from your mistakes. Yeah. But that's crazy, man.
Odell was telling me one time, and correct me if I'm wrong, but he was telling me one time you played a gig with Sun Ra. Is that correct?
No. I know the guys in Sun Ra, and one of my best friends played with Sun Ra.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I never played with Sun Ra, man. See, that's some music that
I still can't wrap my head around it. I love it, but it makes no sense to me.
I can't, and I don't want to disrespect Sun Ra, God bless her dead, but when they say they were aliens from another planet, they really were, because I don't know what the hell that shit was they was playing, man. You know what I mean? And it's just like Bird, man. I couldn't get into Bird, you know. Miles toned it down a little bit where you could understand it. But like some of them jazz cats, man, they were on outer space, man. You know what I mean? When you listening to a song and it seems like everybody's in different keys. You ever heard that?
Sure.
Man, I couldn't comprehend that.
I mean, it all goes back to like the idea we said before. How much can you do before the audience just kind of drops off?
Yeah. And then, you know.
Like, I mean, even like Sun Ra, like you can go from something catchy like space is the place, like all that sort of stuff. And then to just like almost like cacophony, just like colliding with each other.
And see, at a young age, man, I ran into Edward Bird song. I don't know if you knew who that was.
Not familiar.
He had a song out, I wanna be your rising sun. He was like a black rock dude.
Okay.
And I ran into him at a young age, man. And Edwin Bird's song was just out there, man. And talking with him, and then I got a chance to do a gig with him. I sat in with them. He was just, oh my God. You know, you sit down and talk with Edward Birdsong. When you got finished talking to Edward Birdsong, you ain't know who you were. He was just out there, man. I don't even know if he's still alive or not. I would have to Google that. But
so how do you find yourself like getting through songs that are challenging like that?
I just see I have a method. Like I said, I have to listen. Something that's going to be hard for me, I got to listen to it for a couple of days. And with me listening to it, I can break it down where I can comprehend it. And once I can comprehend it, I can play it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I hear chord changes very well. And even if I have to slow it down to really see what they're really doing, mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But most of the time, I can put a record on and listen, and a couple times I got it. You know what I mean? Or I'm close to what they're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. You like that too?
It depends. For the most part, yeah. Like obviously with like modern technology and when you have different gigs happening, sometimes you kind of cheat and you look up like chord charts or whatever. But then like I'll do that and I'll listen to the actual recording, make sure, hey, is what they transcribed the right thing?
You know, most of the chord charts is somebody like me and you listening to them and then writing them down.
Sure.
They're not by the artist.
Yeah, well, sometimes they might be right, sometimes they might not be.
A lot of times,
go back and check the source material then.
A lot of times they're wrong.
Yep.
Or you got these guys on YouTube that'll play the guitar and tell you, well, this is what the artist was doing.
It's like, you don't know that.
No.
Like, I'm working on like a YouTube video now for my channel where I'm trying to transcribe a Kiss guitar solo. In '84, they had a guitar player for just one album. His name's Mark St. John, and he was like one of those 80s super shredders. So there's pretty much no videos on YouTube right now. He only ever played 2 shows with the band before they fired him. There's an audio recording of the one, and he's just playing so fast you can barely hear it. You listen to the record, it's the same thing. And there isn't a single video of anyone trying to play that song online or teaching a lesson or anything like that. So I've just been like slowing it down with like technology, just trying to listen to every single note. And it's nearly impossible. It just like blends all together.
I don't know if this is known for a fact. I know this. Most of Eddie Van Halen's solos weren't, he just sat there and did them. He recorded them in 3 and 4 parts and put them together.
Yep. Perfect example is Jump. That's 2 solos stitched together. That's why it sounds so abrupt when it gets to the tapping.
Yeah. He was very good for that. You know what I mean? But now if you saw him live, a lot of that stuff he was doing.
Sure. But it was also never exactly the same every night. It was always like a little bit different, adding a little bit more spice and flair to some things.
When did he die? A couple years ago?
That was 4 years ago now.
Yeah. He had cancer, right?
Yeah. I'm trying to...
He died a very rich man, though.
Yep. And, changed the course of musical history pretty much.
Yeah.
Even like with the playing, but also like the technology he created.
Yeah. Steve Vai, he's still alive, right?
Yeah.
He was another one. It was so many cats out there that were just phenomenal of what they were doing, man.
And then just like seeing how people like take those ideas and like try to expand on it further. Like, I don't know. For some reason, and I don't know exactly why this one pops in my mind, but there's like a metal band from like 20 years ago called Dragon Force. Mm-hmm. So there's like 2 lead guitar players. The one guy, Herman Lee, he does like a lot of like the whammy bar sort of stuff. But he does like tricks where like he'll play a note and then like pick the guitar up by the whammy bar and like do some moves with it. There's a pretty famous video from a few years ago. They're playing some festival in Europe, I think. And he has the guitar, he picks it up, with the whammy bar, plays the harmonica, woo, kind of thing. And then he like slams it down. But when he slams it down, it snaps the guitar in half.
Yeah.
I get scared to try things like that because I watch videos like that.
No.
Like I wish I was doing like the guitar spins like in all the 80s music videos. It was like, I feel like the time I would do it, it would like break off and just like go impale someone in the face or something.
You don't have guitar locks on your...
No, I do, but like I still just get worried about that sort of stuff. Because like, I mean, I don't know if that's ever happened at a show, but like just imagine like you do your flip and it goes the wrong way and it just goes sailing right into the audience. I get worried about things like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like hell, even like the very first time playing with 80s Revolution when we were playing Carteret Performing Arts Center, the last song we do, we got the beat and we have the beach balls and everything. And we're like throwing them out to the audience. I see one in front of me, so I'm like, okay, I want to go, just like kick it out to the audience and like I kick it and it just goes flying right into someone's face in the third row. I'm thinking, man, this is my first show and I'm already gonna get kicked out. It's dangerous out there.
How long you been playing with them?
About a year and 3 months now, I think, at this
About
point.
the same as me.
Yeah. I mean, I get worried about things like that because, like, now I remember reading a few articles from like years ago, not that long ago, but like drummers would like throw their drumsticks out to the audience at the end of the show because people like having mementos to take home. I want to say it was the drummer from Styx. He threw like a few sticks out, and some lady wasn't paying attention. It hit her in the face, and I guess she had to go get stitches or something for it. So then she tried suing the drummer.
Wow.
It's crazy. Live music. It's live for a reason.
Yeah. Well, I hope I gave you some of what you wanted. You know what I mean?
I appreciate you taking the time to talk.
Oh,
to me.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
We hope you enjoyed this week's episode of Gig Nightmares. Gig Nightmares is an independently produced podcast made possible by the support of listeners like you. If you enjoyed this week's episode, we would appreciate if you left a rating and a review for us. Gig Nightmares.